Back at it again with the Neckbeard Sex, broadcast live from Mom's Basement, by Cistacea. Cistacea here. A week or so ago I posted a tale of sex with a brony celebrity, TM, and the glorious gangbang that is r/NeckbeardStories showered with so much thick creamy positive feedback that I couldn't help but come back for more. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us now, what you need to know about me is that I have an addiction that brings me to the front line of Neckbearddom every Friday night. I hate the cringiness, but damn, I do love me some love handles. Let's just say that if a brother's BMI is over 30, it gets me all bothered and hot. And boy howdy, do I get into some trouble. So it's the year 2014 and I just moved my ass into a South Boston hood affectionately referred to as Deathchester. So far all the friends I have are the squad of drug dealers on the corner, and they all macking on me as the new broad in town. This particular one, Coma, is coming at it hard, and I'm like nah, bruh, you ain't my thing. For Coma, this underscore does not compute underscore. He's 6'6" with a prison bod, and he's sweatin' trying to figure how the hell I think I'ma do better in this hood. He hollers at me all the time, and he's pretty sure it's in the bag once I come round. But I have my beady little eyes on a more spherical prize, my neighbor down the street. But I'm keeping it on the down low, for I say unto ye, the Neckbeard must not know that a lady is on the make. For in the Neckbeard mind, it is he who must do the seduction. Let me tell you about this neighbor of mine. We'll call him Big Papa. This dude is about 5 foot, pushing 300 pounds of well-moisturized Cape Verdean squishiness. Some flat brims, some fedoras in the mix. Lives in his mom's basement. Learning Japanese. Studying the blade. Now Big Papa paints, badly. His game with girls is he stops them on the street and asks to paint them. I seen him working it on a poor Dominican girl with a baby and fear in her eyes. I'm walking up the street and our eyes meet. We shoot the shit, he pulls the wow I'd love to paint you sometime line, we exchange digits, he insists on a hug. I ain't one to waste time, and these daddy issues are sure as hell not gonna resolve themselves, so I accept his invitation to join him this evening, in the basement. I get down there, he shows me his intellectual book collection and his vape shit. And then the bragging starts. I hear it all the time. Fat brothers cannot restrain themselves from telling me their Herculean feats. He starts showing me pictures of all the mountains he has climbed back in Cabo Verde. He's going on and on about how he hiked it all in one day, and it was such a tough trail, and how it isn't really even a big deal for him because he does stuff like that all the time. He also starts in about his skills as a lover, how he lasts for days and he likes giving head and. Well, I don't think I'm getting painted. I'm rolling my eyes, and I am about ready to get down to business. Now, if you have ever tried to have sex with a planet, I gotta let you know, it is difficult. Moons of this size all invariably compensate for their lack of flexibility in the same way by insisting that I be able to bend my body in ways that my musculoskeletal system, and even the laws of physics, never intended. Big Papa was no different. I was doing my best to make it work, and then, the comments started. Now, I am white. And I live in an area where you can go all day without seeing a white person, other than me. I am used to my fair share of race-based dirty talk. I get called Snow Bunny, hear all about my white girl this or white girl that. But this I was unprepared for. It began, damn Cistacea, your pussy is so creamy. I cringed, but said nothing. I love your milky little pussy, it's so milky, and creamy, and white like sugar papa? I interjected ever so sweetly. Can you maybe not compare my genitalia to dairy products? But you're so delicious, girl. Like, I just wanna eat you up. I shut my trap, only to be barraged with a cornucopia of comments comparing my various body to various kinds of dairy products. It was obviously a turn on for him, but I was losing interest fast. I ended up telling him I wasn't feeling it, and going home. It took a long time to wash the vague smell of butter off in the shower. Bonus point, I managed to steal a sweet anime shirt with a sexy fur lady on it. Worth it. Aside from the comments, it wasn't the worst, and we decided to go out for pho the next day. So we're walking down the street, hand in hand, when we round the corner and come into view of the squad. Now he straight up starts losing it. He's on the other side of the intersection, straight up yelling, "Oh, so this is what you like?" The rest of the boys are doubled over laughing as throws his hat on the ground and continues to babble in disbelief. Big Papa, he's beaming. I'm snickering. Worth it. It didn't end up working out between Big Papa and I despite all his bragging. He would tire quickly during sex, and there was a lot of sweat. But there's plenty of fish in the sea, and there's plenty of half-Irish obese alcoholic men children in Boston, so I was able to move on. But I never lived it down with the squad. I spent the rest of the year hearing no end of jokes about Cistacea and another one of her short fat motherfuckers. Coma never recovered.
My Neckbeard roommate and ex-best friend of 8 years. Part 2, Electric Boogaloo by Deleted. Okay, Lavali's time to gather urn for Part 2 of the adventures of Captain Neckbeard. Cast. Me, 24 at the time, uni student and several Neckbeardish hobbies. Chosen 1, CO, my girlfriend of 4 years. Loves Studio Ghibli, Disney, Nintendo and comics. Pretty boy, PB, my best friend of 10 years. Good looking, super smooth with the ladies and a nerd like me. Captain Neckbeard, the king of all neckbeards. To give you an idea of what he looks like, he has greasy long hair that he wears in a comb over. Literally looks like he is wearing a toupee styled with deep fryer grease. Plus has a mustache twirl emerging from his thin neck beard and 2 earrings. Think a pedophile crossed with a pirate. Okay, so forgive me if this post is weird, I'm probably going to be all over the place. There's a lot to get through and it's hard to keep it coherent. So first off is CN's weird obsession with my girlfriend. In the beginning CN was pretty sweet on CO. Until that he found out she likes some anime, a few games and comics. Around the start of last year a game called Ni no Kuni came out. CO was super excited. It's like a cross between a Ghibli movie and Pokémon, so right up her alley. Unfortunately this piqued CN's interest and all he would talk about for a week or 2 was this game and trying to get her attention. CO loves to talk about things but not for 6 hours on end, so she was getting a little annoyed. Then came the smug cloud. CN, so I have this sweet level something or other. I was balls deep in uni work and suta at the time, so I don't really remember. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. It's easily the best character in the game. CO, no it isn't. It's one of the common characters you get at the start of the game. CN, well it's one of the best in the game if you know how to play it properly like I do. It's the only way to beat insert boss here. CO, dude, I just beat that boss. It wasn't that hard. CN, well it must have been luck then. You obviously don't know what you're talking about. Anybody who actually likes this game would know that. CO, yet that's why I worked my ass off this week and spent the last of my money on a game I don't actually like. It's because I couldn't wait to impress you. At this point CN quietly sulked upstairs, but I'm pretty sure I can guess what he was thinking the whole time. Boy, she bought a game she doesn't like just to impress me. She must really be turned on by knowledge of video games and totally wants to fuck me. Later on that night CN came back downstairs, puffed out his chest and put on his deepest of deepest man voices and tried bragging about the game. CN, so I just did this and this. Pretty cool who? CO, MMMMHM. Now CN had the exact same move for trying to woo milady. Is it make her laugh? Pay attention to her? Nope, he liked to go through his history of hookups. For this part of the story I should probably give myself a name. Call me the dude. CN, hey dude, do you remember the time we went out clubbing and you and PB started chatting up those girls? Me, you have to be more specific, what time was that? CN, the night you dropped your wallet in the toilet. Me, ha 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 yeah. What about it? CN, how awesome was it when I hooked up with the blonde? Me, dude, that never happened. CN, yeah it did. I felt her boobs and everything. You were probably too drunk. I don't know why you drink. Drinking is for idiots. You better than that. Even if I drink I can't get drunk. I think I would remember that night better than you. Me, A, I drink because it's fucking fun, and B, I remember that night clearly. You didn't say a word, the blonde, you sat there muttering God knows what under your breath. CN, God dude, I wasn't talking about when we were at the club. I'm talking about when you guys left. The blonde invited me back to her place and we had sex. Me, no you fucking didn't. We all went back to PB's place and smoked cones, then you went to go watch anime while we stayed out back and chatted. CN, dude, she picked me up while you guys were out back and then dropped me back off. Me, oh so in the 45 minutes we were chatting she picked you up, you fucked her, she dropped you back and then you didn't say a word about it until now? Bear in mind this is the same girl who you didn't talk to and had a boyfriend. She was waiting to finish work so they could go home together? Rightio. I swear you could feel the eyes rolling back in CO's head. As per usual he sulked back away. This sort of shit kept happening for a few months. He would try and impress CO, keep bringing up sex he never had, and he even got one step closer to showering. He started using deodorant. But this all came to head in what is without a doubt the creepiest week of my life. For about a month I had assignments and exams coming out of my ass, so it wouldn't be uncommon for me to go to bed at around 5 a.m. and wake up at about 10 a.m., rinse and repeat. It was a nightmare. For a couple of weeks I noticed him standing in random spots in the house just staring out windows at all hours of the morning. He said it relaxed him. Whatever dude. I guess not going to school, not having a job, not doing any school work and playing games all day really means you need to relax. So to understand the next bit you need to understand what my house looks like. There's a thin stairwell that leads up to the top level and terrace barrier/mantle that runs from the wall on the left, past the top or the stairs and to the right where the stairs start. Also upstairs is creaky as fuck. Because of the stress we were under and CN continually invading our personal space, CO and I hadn't had sexy time in quite a while. So one night after almost a month we had sex. It was awesome. Until that was we heard the creaking of the floorboards. We stopped and had a giggle and kept going. About 15 minutes later it suddenly dawned on me. I didn't hear the floorboards creak either down the stairs or back up to his room. I quickly hopped up, threw the blanket over CO to cover her up and put on some undies and opened my bedroom door. There he was, with his back on a mantle with a giant shit-eating grin on his face. CN, nice work bro. Me, what the fuck do you think you're doing? CN, it's a nice night so I just wanted to stand here and think about life. Me, no you didn't you creepy fuck. You were listening to us have sex. What the fuck is wrong with you? CN, I wasn't listening to you have sex. I was just standing here like I usually do. Me, whatever dude, just fuck off. I was really pissed off and creeped out, but hey, I was horny and wanted to go back to bed. This continued every time we would have sex for almost a month. CO and I could have handled it properly, but we decided fuck it, and she was extra loud every time because we knew it was killing him on there inside. For that month he would make backhanded comments trying to imply that I'm bad at sex and that he was the master. CN, dude, you should try hitting her. Bitches love it when their man takes control and gets violent. Me, yeah no. CO, you do realize that porn isn't real life, right? Most people don't have sex like that. CN, hey, if you don't want my advice fine. I know what I'm talking about from experience. Me, yeah, and what experience would that be? The millions of women you bring home or your girlfriend that lives in Europe. Okay, so I might have been a bit rude, but he was really starting to piss me off with the lying and his general creepiness. PB and I love to talk about what it was like when we were single before we met our partners, and I guess it's hard to keep up when you only have one story from when you were 15. CN had one of his friends from school over one night and we were smoking weed out the back before I went to have a marathon session of Suta. CN's friend was a pretty nice guy. During the smoke CN got way too close for comfort and tried to start talking about sex. CN, so dude, how do you like to fuck? Me, what? CN, yeah dude. Do you like to get kinky and tie the bitch up, or are you a pussy and fuck her like a little bitch? Do you make her suck your cock? Me, Dude, what the fuck? How is that any of your business? CN, PFFFD, I've heard you talk about this shit with PP. Me, yeah, but the difference is he isn't a creepy fuck who asks me questions like that and then acts like he's a sex guard. CN, dude, it's just a question, stop being such a pussy. Maybe that's why you don't know how to satisfy a girl? Me, yep, CN. That's exactly it. I don't know how to have sex. You've got me. That's why CO loves to have sex after 4 years, it must be a pity fuck. So tell me, oh Lord and Master. Apart from the women you fantasized about, how many women have you been with? CN, I don't know, I stopped counting at 24. Me, bursts out laughing, porn and lying don't count, dude. I got super pissed off and left to go play my game. Don't get me wrong. I don't care how many people someone has slept with, but it don't act like king shit when we all know you're full of shit and are all talk. Fast forward a bit and CN had a habit of constantly invading my privacy. He would take shit from my room, tack my DVDs, my comics, and would always, and I mean always, use my PC. Like one time I was doing an assignment, went to have a shower, came back and he had closed it without saving it so he could play games. It's on this time I noticed heaps of my stuff had gone missing. So one day when CN actually left the house, CO and I decided to go the one place no woman had ever set place. The lair of the Neckbeard. We opened the door to a smell that was ungodly. This was the middle of winter, so it was freezing outside and in the rest of the house, but his room was hot and humid like a tropical rainforest. Probably had as much life forms growing in there as a rainforest. We turned the light on and immediately all of my missing stuff was in there. CO started probing around and lifted up his trench coat, and underneath was something creepy. He had stolen her perfume, makeup and a bunch of her personal items including her toothbrush we thought she left when we went on a trip. Later when he got home we confronted him for almost an hour of him denying everything. CO, dude, do you know how creepy this is? CN, fucking hell, I didn't do anything. I have no idea how that stuff got in there, and what the fuck were you doing in my room? Me, getting our stuff back that you stole. In what world do you think this is okay? CO, you stole my perfume and my toothbrush. This is so fucking creepy. How do I know you haven't stolen my underwear too? Some of that has gone missing lately. CN, I don't know how it got there and I'm not creepy. Me, whatever dude, just stay the fuck out of our stuff and stop acting so fucking creepy. I have never been so creeped out in my life, and CO ended up keeping a catalog of her stuff until he moved out. But that didn't stop him from trying to impress her every chance he got, making the house even more unbearable than what it already was. That's enough for now, guys. Expect part 3 soon. Next time, we delve into CN's health kick, his love of trying to live out the Matrix, and maybe even a field report on the last night out I ever experienced with him.
No isn't an option by GiftedChildSyndrome. Hello. This is my first ever post on Reddit, mainly because Reddit is blocked in my country and I'm often too lazy to use VPN, but I watch a lot of Reddit videos on YouTube about neckbeards to know what they are. Also, English is not my first language, so I'm sorry if I make any mistakes. This happened about 2 years ago at an anime convention in my city. You see, my friend told me that I'm something you can call a neckbeard bait, so I often got dragged into these kinds of interaction. The neckbeard this time. Let's call him Henry. So I knew Henry from first grade in high school because we're part of the school health committee, Youth Red Cross. But even though he's in the Red Cross, he's still your average neckbeard. He's kind of overweight, smells like doesn't shower, always wears some anime merch, whether it's his shirt, jacket and shoes, and he wears a fedora, although he doesn't really use words like milady and sort. At the time, I've heard rumors about him molesting the girls in the health committee, like looking up their skirts, touching their body and making sexual remarks against the girls. But because they don't have proof of his behavior and because we didn't have much male members at the time, he never got kicked out. I never got harassed by him until the AnimeCon, where I was cosplaying as a character from a game that was popular at the time. Because of our similar interest in anime and games, me, Henry and some other people agreed to meet and take pictures together at the back of the building. Me and Henry got there first and waited for a couple of minutes before he suddenly approached and putting his hand on the wall beside me. I think he was trying to kabedon me. I was severely uncomfortable and scared, but I don't want to be rude, so I asked him nicely to let me go. He suddenly asked me to be his girlfriend, saying my, now ex-boyfriend isn't as good as him, while slowly moving his face forward as if he was going to kiss me, while also saying some sexual stuff about how my skirt looks nice and how it accentuates my thighs. I was so scared I yelled no and tried to call for help, but what he said still give me chills. No isn't an answer. I'm forever grateful to the guy cosplaying as Kaido for coming at that time and yelling at him to get away. He also tried to comfort me, while I cried until my friends show up. We told the security guard and he was kicked out and blacklisted from the anime con. After that he seems to avoid me till the end of 2nd grade, where he moved to another school. The school tried to hide it, but I heard it's because he was caught molesting another person. I've never told anyone about my encounter, but the anonymity of Reddit gives me the chances to get rid of it out of my chest. And I'm really scared to even tell my parents, the school or the police. I'm still traumatized, but I try to fight it instead of running away from it. To be honest, this isn't my first close encounter like this, but that's a story for another time.
CritFlail's attempt to converse with Milady Barista. By TrySoHardRightMiaow. After 2 years of playing DD, the Neckbeard radio silence has ended. It has finally happened. I now have a Neckbeard story for you dearies. Funnily enough, this didn't happen at a campaign or at the comic book store I like to frequent. No, this happened at my work, where most of the customers are middle-aged, white men who were sweethearts and have no idea that there were more than just D6s. Here is the cast for this evening's entertainment. Moi, 22 years, 5 feet 2 inches on a good day, cute face that sometimes makes me look younger than I am, bubbly as hell but gets a resting bitch face when tired. Regular DD player and I won't shut up about it with my co-workers. Card Master, 30 to 33 years, my badass co-worker who trained me, is currently making a card game, hence the name, and likes to talk lore and game mechanics with me to bounce ideas off of. Paladin, around 40, regular customer who's also a big DD nerd, we swap campaign and character stories on my breaks. He's currently playing a paladin and he's a bro, hence the name. CritFlail, mid-20s? Pear-shaped, long, unkempt mane of stringy hair, fedora, because of course, shitty taste in drinks. Let's set the stage a little. I work at a cafe that's super duper close to my house. Card Master and I are working the closing shift, something we do a lot and have down to an art. We're bomb-ass closers. It's around 6 p.m., Paladin is standing by the bar, talking to Card Master and sipping on his 5-shot iced Americano while my coworker is cleaning the espresso machine. I'm at the counter, manning the till and putting some of the baked goods away. In walks CritFlail. I do the usual greeting and ask him what we can get started for him. He orders a chai latte with 2 espresso shots, 3 pumps of caramel and extra foamy with almond milk. For those who aren't familiar with trying to make almond milk foamy, it's pretty near impossible. Almond milk gets hot more quickly than regular milk, and when you try to foam it, the bubbles are huge and it feels like you're drinking this. I manage to slip into my customer service face, without giving away how I actually feel, and explain that it's gonna be tough to make it extra foamy. He just rolls his eyes, grumbles, and hands me the money. As I'm counting up his change, I hear him say, "Do you even know what that is?" I look up and ask him what he means. He points at my necklace, a purple D20 that my bro got for me as a B-Day prezi. Crit, you don't even know what that is, do you? Paladin and Card Master have gone silent and are watching me, grinning, like the little assholes they are. Now, my immediate reaction is to laugh, which I do, because I was just shocked and confused. Most people who saw my necklace either said it was cute or just asked if I played. I'd never been quizzed before. He didn't seem amused. Crit, well? Do you? MFW, I realized he was serious. I'm tired, it's an hour until close, and I really don't have the energy to deal with this guy, so I just hand him his change, give the stupid drink order to Card Master and go about my closing duties. CritFlail goes off to some dank corner to no doubt babble to his brethren about how he found another fake gamer girl or whatever, I don't know. As I'm working, Paladin comes over, he gives me this look, I give him this look, and we start talking campaigns. I shit you not 3 minutes in, CritFlail seems to appear out of nowhere behind Paladin with a look of confusion on his pasty, weak-chinned face. Crit, you didn't say you knew DD. No joke, this boy actually shouted this. Mwah, nope, I didn't. Crit, oh my god, you should have told me. At this point, he's managed to slither his way past Paladin and plant his twiggy arms in front of my only bro right now, blocking any attempt of assistance if I try to roll to intimidate this neckbeard to get away from me. I'm on my own. Getting more annoyed with this dweeb, and the fact that Cardmaster is content to just watch, I decide to just be blunt with this dweeb. Mwah, why? CritFlail, well, then I'd know you weren't a fake gamer. There are so many girls who pretend to like DD but don't know shit about it. Oh my god, this is real. This dude is actually for real. This is gold. Paladin decides to come to my rescue. Paladin, yeah, no, that's not a thing. CritFlail senses a fresh mind to brainwash and whips his attention to the other guy. I roll for stealth. Natural 20 and I'm out of there, wrapping up the rest of my closing stuff. Sorry not sorry Pally. At the 10-minute mark, I get approached by this dude again, this time as I'm taking in the patio furniture and turning the signs off. CritFlail, you got a campaign going right? I'm looking for one right now. Think you could squeeze me in? CritFlail rolls to persuade. Rolls a 2. Me, we're booked up. CritFlail, well, maybe we could do a new one. You know you can be a part of more than one campaign, right? Lol, nice try. Me, I already have another one, and with work on top of that, I don't have time for 3 campaigns. 2 is enough for me. I'm still moving tables in and out and he's standing just inside the doorway within earshot. He decides to sit on one of the tables I've brought in, that I am currently putting the chairs on, and keeps sipping his drink. Dude, it's been 40 minutes, how are you still drinking that? CritFlail, gimme your number then. We can make a campaign when that one wraps up. God damn it. Mwah, nope. This bitch is done. CritFlail seems stunned. Tries to roll with a disadvantage. CritFlail, okay, I get it. Not into guys then? I roll to shoot him down. Nat. 20. Mwah, no. Not into you. I see Cardmaster, in the corner of my eye. Dude just sits there for a hot second, huffs and then leaves like a bat out of hell, his pride wounded and all out of moves. Tilde and that's it guys. Tilde. Oh wait. No. No it isn't. Turns out, he went to the comic book shop and asked the owner for my Facebook. But I'ma leave that for another installment. Because I wanna watch you bitches squirm.
Chipotle Neckbeard by Graggy_Ice. I was in line at Chipotle yesterday for lunch, playing a game of Hearthstone on my phone because they had buy one get one free burritos and the line was really long. The guy behind me in line is sporting cargo shorts, dirty black t-shirt, a shitty beard, and about 300 pounds of fat. A few minutes in, I notice the large dude behind me is intently staring at my phone, and making little noises every time I played a card. I looked at the guy and gave him a little nod. Apparently he took this as an invitation to help me get better at the game. He explained to me why my deck sucked, why my class sucked, and that the only way to play was using the top tier decks used by pros. When I told him I don't really care about winning every game, he scoffed at me and called me a filthy casual. I guess these people actually do exist. Thanks for reading. Have a good one, friends.
You cooked all this? By yourself? I guess when they say a woman's place is in the kitchen, in your case, it's not untrue. By DrawerFullOfDicks. I've recently started a catering company and I had my first major event this weekend, 75 people, 9 hors d'oeuvres and dessert. I prepped for 2 days, got everything ready, did all the cooking, then party time came. I had my servers dressed in all black, and I had on a nice black dress since I would be schmoozing with clients all evening. Now, I've gotten a lot of flack about going to culinary school and a lot more jokes about women in kitchens. If you've never worked in a restaurant, kitchens are usually a giant sausage fest. So, not only am I getting people telling me I don't belong in a kitchen, I also have men constantly making jokes about a woman's real place being behind a stove. It's not ever anything that bothers me because I love my kitchen staff and I know it's all meant in jest. Okay, back to the party. I'm doing my thing, schmoozing, directing my servers, and everyone's having a great time. I noticed one guy who kept following me, staying basically on my heels. He almost knocked trays out of my hands 3 times, and once even grabbed food off the tray I was carrying. Don't ever do this unless you're offered one of what is on the tray. I was polite and avoided running him over, but I began to get frustrated. I finally got a few minutes to myself and stepped outside for a smoke and a 5-minute break in the quiet. I heard the door open and stepped behind the wall of the house so the clients wouldn't see me, but unfortunately, it was the Neckbeard looking for none other than me. I didn't realize just how lucky I was. I was sitting on a stump beside the house and he came over and attempted to make small talk, when I was obviously trying to hide. So, you cooked all this? By yourself? I guess when they say a woman's place is in the kitchen, in your case, it's not untrue. I smiled politely, said yes, I've spent the last 3 days preparing this meal, also, don't ever say that to a chef again, please. And stood up and walked away. He followed me back inside. I mean, I get loaded on a Friday and cook this much food with my friends. It's not that hard. I responded, I doubt you have 75 friends, but if so, good for you. Maybe you should be the one sweating behind a stove, but I'll be damned if I ever let you in my kitchen. I stepped off to speak with other guests at the party, hand out cards, etc. He followed me. Can I get your recipe for those meatballs? I feel like if I tweak it just a bit I can make them perfect. Again, don't ask a chef for their recipes. It's rude. Also, the meatballs were fucking perfect. The guest I was speaking to began to laugh. She looked at him and said, well, that was rude. He attempted to defend himself but I walked away. He proceeded to criticize my spinach artichoke dip, my fruit tray, I carved bananas into dolphins, it was awesome, and my desserts to the other guests, but everyone just brushed him off. As the night was winding down, I began breaking down my setup. At this point I had been working for 12 hours straight, and I was tired and just not in the mood for his shit. He followed me and while I was moving heavy equipment and disposing of food, never once lifting a hand to do anything. You really shouldn't be moving that stuff, it's bad for your back. You know, it would have been smarter to bring a rolling cart to load all this onto. You should really use disposable items, it'll save you tons of time on your loadout. He didn't help us do anything, just stood around and criticized me. Finally, one of my servers snapped. Look, dude, you've been harassing this woman all night. She worked her ass off on this party and you will not let her breathe. Just back off and let us work. He seemed taken aback, completely surprised that he was inconveniencing us in any way. He stared at me blankly and said, you wanna go to dinner sometime and let someone else do the cooking? I threw my hands up and walked away, didn't give him an answer or anything. I heard my server tell him, no. Just walk away. Walk. The fuck? Away. He did, straight to the hostess to tell her how rude I was. She came to me later and explained that she saw most of his behavior, asked him to leave, and didn't blame me in any way for anything I said to him. She apologized that I had to deal with it, and gave all of us a significant tip. He sent me a message on Facebook this morning, asking me if I had considered his dinner offer. Some neckbeards never learn.
An incel Neckbeard taught me what an incel was. By deleted. Excuse me if I'm being kind of rude in this, but I'm pissed. Also I've never been on this subreddit before. I'm on some subreddit, I do not remember what it was and I see something that says incel. I don't remember the post but it did say, Stacy sucking Chad's inner dick, so of course I was a kind of upset. I didn't really know what an incel was, but I knew it was something sexist. Naturally, I asked in the comments. I got a DM a couple of minutes later. It's from this fucking fucktard. The same fucktard who made the post. He tells me what he thinks an incel is. An incel is a person who girls think are too ugly and small. They would rather grind Chad's dick than actual nice guys. Oh, thanks, I replied. Somehow we kept texting. He would say things and did have questions. He kept posting and got blocked from the subreddit, so he would make more and more accounts. Something you might need to know about me: I don't like upsetting people, so I won't say, "Stop talking to me." I know, it's bad. So he kept texting me from these new accounts. I listened to him try to prove his dumbass and wrong points. I just listened and sometimes asked questions. Sometimes, very rarely, we chatted about things. This happened twice. I would constantly say it's not all about sex for some women. I made sure he knew I was one of those people. He asked me if I've ever dated someone who wasn't a Chad and was an ugly duckling, his words not mine. In fact I have, so I said so. He said my friends probably told me to break up with him and say I was pretty enough to hook up with Chad. I said, my friend did say that. He then said, did you break up with him and fuck Chad? No, I did not fuck Chad, do I said that. He asked me if I broke up with him. No, I did not. He broke up with me. This made me so fucking mad, I built up the courage to just block his accounts and ignore him. Fucking neckbeards. Edit, I could not care less if he sees this so long as he doesn't message me.
A neckbeard trying to get an underage GF by Fat Weirdo 123. I'm going to make this short since I cut off contact with this guy, but it's still a story. So, I got this app like Tinder but for teens, just to talk to random teens online when I'm bored. I was 14 then and not that attractive. I mean, I have chin-length curly hair, tan skin with acne scars, and semi-masculine features, so I didn't think people would be too interested in me. I was ran. After I only had the app for an hour, I got a request from our neckbeard, let's call him NB, in this, with a dog as his profile pic. The bio didn't have anything but that he was 16. Not to be rude, I started talking with NB and the conversation went like this. Me, hi, how are you? NB, I had a shit day at work. Me, oh, where do you work? NB, at Walmart. Me, yeah, people can be shitty there. It all seemed normal since he didn't give off any major red flags until he told me he was actually 22, in college, and if I will be his girlfriend. I just said I had to go and left. Now I regret not blocking him then, but I forgot since I was busy at the time. NB messaged me asking for a picture, so I asked for his picture first. I'm not shitting, he looked like a neckbeard. He was overweight, had ants that stuck out from his pale skin, and a patchy beard on his double chin. The way he took the picture showed he was trying hard since he was making duck lips and a tough face. I started laughing/cringing before I sent an old picture of me. I know that sending him a picture of me was a bad idea, but I was a stupid and bored kid. NB told me that I was so prefect with emojis with heart eyes, to which I didn't answer. I cringed harder what NB called me baby and told me to send a pic with less clothes this time. I thought about looking up a picture of a huge dick and saying it's mine to mess with him, but I didn't. I ended up blocking and reporting him. The app of cringe, so I deleted it 2 days later. All I can say is block someone immediately if they give off red flags.
Game Store 3, The Bottle Incident by MisterKillam. During a Friday night Magic tournament, I would normally farm the job of administering the tournament out to someone else. I didn't know the game very well, so I thought it best to leave that to somebody who was up to date on the rules and errata and such. My job, therefore, consisted of hanging out at the register until the Swiss rounds were over and people came to buy boosters and snacks. I was doing this, just browsing my usual board at work websites and talking to a friend when a player came up to me and said something that still creeps me out. That guy in the blue hoodie just peed in a bottle. What? He put it down his pants empty and pulled it out full. Sure enough, where he was pointing, there was a half-full 16-ounce Mountain Dew bottle sitting next to the guy's backpack. I waited for their match to finish and pulled him aside. Initially he denied it,
but when I suggested he take a drink he came clean. He was so concerned about his opponent cheating, and to be fair, the guy had a reputation but had never been caught, that he didn't want to get up until the game was over, citing fear that his opponent would mess with his deck while he was gone. Despite his pleading, I had to ban the guy. I couldn't have people pissing in their Mountain Dew bottles in my shop.
My experience with Neckbeard the Memechanter, or How I Became Christine in Phantom of the Basement. By gollumbait. I tried to make this story as short as possible, but the Neckbeard was so overwhelming that it was harder than I expected. Here's the scene. Me, 20, female, and too nice, read, overly passive, for my own good. Louis, 21, a cool guy once you swallow his tendencies towards euphoria, and I am very smart. It has thankfully cooled off since high school, but his foray into the nice guy darkness has given him sympathy towards those who still lurk there. Fanny, 22, fat and unkempt, chronic underachiever, level 60 nice guy and gentleisser. Surprisingly aggressive in attempts to woo lady. Louis and I are at one of high school hangouts, a shitty 24/7 CAF, when he asks me if a friend of his could join us. I say sure, the more the merrier. If I had known that this friend was going to dampen our fun like an ignored Mountain Dew spill on the carpet, I would have, well, probably still said okay because I was a pussy. So cometh Fanny. Fanny, or whatever his real name is, was almost the platonic ideal of Neckbeard. He was very rotund, and it was clear that this portliness would blossom into full-on obesity. He was adorned with the classic Neckbeard attire of a graphic t-shirt that he clearly had owned for at least 10 years, smartly matched with cargo pants and sandals. To his credit, I don't remember any obvious stains or smells. Last but not least, he sported a patchy unshaven scruff upon his neck fat, though his cheeks were curiously smooth. He begins to saunter up to Louis, and when he sees me his eye light up like he has just hit the jackpot. Louis falls away into background noise, as there is a lady present. Despite being Louis' pity friend and me only being aware of his existence for a mere 20 minutes, he chooses a chair uncomfortably close to me. So begins my unwilling participance in the incredibly awkward Neckbeard mating dance. This was roughly 7 years ago, so I don't remember the full extent of the conversation. I just remember feeling extremely uncomfortable, like Fanny saw me as some kind of prize he had just won for being aware that I existed. The whole time he would scoot his chair closer and would I scoot mine away. I'm almost positive that if there was a video of this, you could fast forward it to make it look like a low-speed chair chase. I literally made it 3/4s around the damn table until I was blocked by Louis' chair. It was clear that Fanny saw Louis as a threat because he almost completely ignored his presence. If he acknowledged him, it was to make some half-witted insult. Fanny would attempt to block Louis out of the conversation by turning his body completely towards me. He had his beady little eyes on me the whole time, alternating from my face and my chest. At the time I had sizable tits, about a double D, so even though I was wearing a shirt that completely covered my breasts, I couldn't help but feel exposed under his X-ray nerd vision. He also spoke to me in what was almost a voice you would when you're soothing a small child. It was artificially soft with a gentle uplifted lilt on the last few words. It was fucking weird as shit. The few times he spoke to Louis this tone would magically disappear, so I'm guessing he only used it as not to frighten the female. I had a boyfriend at the time, so I tried to relevantly insert him in the conversation. To my dismay, this did not subvert the gentleisser's affections. He acted like he didn't even notice. The conversation somehow turned to Reddit. Here is from what I remember of it, and though I wish it were, this is not an exaggeration. Apparently speaking to my chest, I'm surprised you've heard of Reddit, there aren't many girls on the internet you know. Me, yeah. I've known about it for a while. It's a later version of 4chan, but I guess it's still cool. Have you ever heard of memes? Me, yes, I know what memes are. In his creepy little voice while staring at my chest, you could totally be a meme. You're so cute, I think everyone would love you. Me, I don't think so. That's not really how it works. You totally could. You would be the best meme. You'd be my favoriteest meme ever, I'd make memes of you all the time. I bet you'd be such a good meme. I swear in the last sentence, he started talking like he was praising a dog. I was basically trying to melt into my seat and keep my answers short because every time I spoke his eyes brightened like I told him I would give a pity handjob in the bathroom. About 30 minutes of this, I'm trying to think of a good excuse to escape. I tell Louis I'm tired and that I'm going to leave, but he guilts me by saying it has been a long time since I've seen him and he wants to catch up. It's true, and I want to spend time with him, so I reluctantly agree to go to Memechanter's house with him. And by Fanny's house, I mean his mother's. When you're in your early 20s it's not unusual to still be living with your parents. However, Fanny didn't let this understandable situation take away from his basement-dwelling aspirations. When we arrive to his house, which is in an expensive suburb and absolutely gorgeous, he takes this opportunity to mention that his mom is out of town and then completely shits on her. He talks about how she's a huge bitch, how she gets on him for not being in college nor having a job, etc. It's almost like Hess trying to summon Eric Cartman screaming at his mom for more cheesy puffs. Apparently Hess an only child, so I feel bad that his mom didn't have the wisdom to have a backup kid. During this rant, he looks me straight in the eye and says in a weird attempt at a seductive voice mixed with a creepy baby voice, "I'm never going to get a job. I'm going to live here forever." It took my vagina weeks to regain the ability to get wet again. We smoke a bowl and make our way to Fanny's lair, which is surprisingly clean, save for a few cans of soda here and there. It has a huge TV with pretty much every current gaming consoles, 2 gaming computers, and an impressive collection of DVDs, all presumably funded by his bitch of a mother. We decide to watch a movie and Fanny pushes hard for Phantom of the Opera. Whatever, I'm high as shit at this point and I don't really care. Fanny takes a seat on his bed, looking at me expectantly. Instead Louis, who is somehow oblivious to my discomfort, sits beside him and receives death glares. It's a mortal sin to cockblock a gentleisser's wooing of a maiden. I think that it's in the Classy Gent handbook or something. I choose to sit in a wooden chair in the center of the TV, a good ways from the bed that I'm positive has nearly enough of Fanny's genetic material to form a new ungodly being. It'd be lying if I said the wooden chair wasn't a tactical choice, as I rejected a much more comfortable gaming chair for something that wasn't made out of semen-absorbent material. This tactical choice would soon work against me. Fanny decides to cut all the lights in what I can only imagine was an attempt at mood lighting, but instead made me feel like a small child lost in the woods surrounded by fedored bears. About 10 minutes into the movie, I hear Fanny say, "I'm going to sit next to gollumbait, she looks lonely." Oh God, please no. Fanny sits in the gaming chair and I instantly realize my mistake. Unlike at the CAF, our chairs are not evenly matched. While the wooden chair is clumsy and hard to scoot over the carpeted floor, the gaming chair glides with ease as Fanny's horny flesh throws his girth into it. It doesn't take Fanny long to be as close as the chairs will physically allow them to be. Trapped and desperate, I take solace in texting my boyfriend. We are texting about possibly trying shrooms when I get back in for college and I become aware of a looming presence over my shoulder. Memechanter is reading my texts over shoulder. F, in a cooing childlike voice, "Whatcha doin'? Mackin' deals?" Me, my boyfriend and I were thinking about doing shrooms. F, ooh, I betcha you'd like them. We should do them together. They make you want to take your clothes off though, I bet you'd have a lot of fun. I want to point out that the texts primarily read "I love you baby" and have a shit ton of lame-ass hearts. I don't answer and make a pathetic attempt to shift my body further away, to the point where one butt cheek is no longer on the damn chair. Unfortunately, Phantom of the Basement is not to be dissuaded. No, despite his physical shortcomings, Hess a nice guy and will woo the female's heart through unrelenting force, much like Eric wins Christine's heart by kidnapping her and shit. When Christine appears on screen, Fanny decides this is the perfect moment to make his move. Phantom of the Neckbeard stretches his arm out and puts it around me, resting a sweaty palm on my upper arm. As he does this, he utters the most panty-dropping line in all of history in his baby talk cadence, "Emmy Rossum is the prettiest you ever." My body is in rigor due to a mixture of revulsion and cringe. I look frantically at Louis, he is completely focused on the movie and bluntly unaware of my torment. I try desperately to catch his eye and finally I squeak, "Louis. Louis. Louis." When I finally get Louis' attention, the look on his face was a mixture of amusement and cringe. I remember he stared for a moment at the pitiful sight in front of him before covering his face and coming to my rescue. "Louis, dude. Dude, stop." "Fanny, what?" "Louis, just stop. Get your arms off of her." He didn't say it angrily, it was more of a "you're embarrassing yourself and I'm disappointed in you" way. Fanny reluctantly releases me, though Hess sure to drag his hand across as much of my body as he can and stroke my hair on the way. Released from his wet, salty grip, I pop up and announce I have to leave, right now. Fanny has not given up despite the lack of reciprocation from me and the complete shutdown from Louis. He walks towards me, threatening my newly reclaimed personal space, and offers to walk to me my car. Louis physically wedges himself between us and snaps that hell do it. I'm sure Fanny looked upon the situation and saw him, the talented but socially rejected phantom, being torn away from his sweet Christine, aka the prettiest Jew ever, by the total cockblock Raoul. I could see the protest bubbling in his eyes, so I belted out a quick goodbye and power walked to the door. Louis walked behind me, presumably to keep Phantom of the Basement from kidnapping me. Louis walked me to my car apologizing profusely as Fanny dejectedly watched all his projected hopes and romantic dreams dissolve. Later, Louis would tell me that Fanny would alternate between berating Louis for ruining his attempts, accusing him of wanting to just fuck me, and asking questions like, "Do you think she's happy with her boyfriend? I don't think she's happy with him, he seems like a douchebag." This came to a sudden stop when Louis answered, "A fucking course she's not," to the question, "Do you think she's a virgin?" Crestfallen that he, a gentleesser with gentlemanly endeavors, had nearly fallen for the wiles of an unvirtuous slutbag who probably only fucks douchebags but friend-zones nice guys who only want what's best for her, Fanny of the Opera looked disgusted and said, "Well, she wasn't hot enough for me anyway." Curtains close.
Neckbeard just wants Milady to love him. His shitty music by deleted. So as some of you may or may not have noticed, I have been absent with posting about the euphoric Neckbeard mic. This is due to uni/placement/work/friends/family taking up most of my time, INB4 curse you chemical uprising for having a life. Anyway, first up is the cast of this story. Me, 20, female, chemical uprising, third-year uni student, likes to procrastinate and be lazy, generally hate most humans because annoying. Sam, 19, was one of my close uni friends. Would catch the bus together, moved an hour and a half away, really sweet, was an art major but dropped out to focus on burlesque and her performance art. Don't be Neckbeard Mike, a greasy, frumpy, chin-pubed mess, engineering student and possibly the most irritating human of them all. This is a short tale, but a euphoric one nonetheless. It all started with a Facebook message from Sam to Neckbeard Mike and I expressing how badly she wanted the both of us to go to her house on Friday to watch movies/eat cake/laze around and just catch up, because it was her 20th birthday, and she missed us. Let me give you guys some background information on how we all met. I met Sam in my first year of uni. I was waiting for the bus, and we got to talking and it turned out that we had a shit ton of things in common. We exchanged contact information, mobile number, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, the whole package, and have been really good friends ever since. I met Neckbeard Mike through Sam, also in my first year of uni. It turned out that Mike and Sam went to primary school together, so whenever he saw Sam at uni, he would follow her around. He then started following me around once we officially introduced ourselves. He would even wait for hours at uni until I was finished my classes, just so he could accompany me on the long bus ride home. Anyway, unfortunately Sam eventually dropped out of university 8 months ago and became a full-time burlesque performer. She moved an hour and a half away from me, so it's really hard for me to find time to see her. Anyway, back to the story. So, Sam invited both me and Neckbeard Mike to her house, inviting Mike so that he could act as my chauffeur and drive me all the way to her house. I have my license, but no car, so NM was my only way of getting to her and from her place. Once NM was notified of the plans, he was ecstatic. He called me straight after he had seen the Facebook message, talking about how much fun it would be to road trip it with him. I was honestly dreading it. Every day before the big event, NM would message me with a countdown. It looked a little like this. NM, only 3 more days until out road trip, chemical uprising. Me, yay. Friday rolls around, it is time. Neckbeard Mike arrives out the front of my house, and beeps 3 times, messages me I'm out front and then calls me when I don't reply straight away. Me, yo, I'm just putting my shoes on, I'll be right out, okay, calm down. NM, hurry up, okay. We need to beat the traffic and get to Sam's. He said, laughing nervously, and I don't know what the fuck this kid was saying about traffic, because we were driving against the traffic. I get into his car, which was a shitty bomb, and it smelled like absolute shit. Lolly wrappers and Macca's rubbish were everywhere. I literally had to push a fuckload of Macca's drink cups and empty fries packets off in order to sit on the seat. I closed the door and NM looked at me, his eyes beaming with excitement. NM, I made us a playlist of songs for the trip. It's got most of my favorite artists on it, and I figured that you should get into my music as well, so I made you a copy to keep. He put the CD on and I was instantly greeted with Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Man, I feel like this trip is going to last forever. For the whole half hour, I was pretty much forced to listen to the likes of Shania Twain, Nickelback, Taylor Swift, whom I absolutely hate with a fiery passion, Pitbull and a bunch of random local shitty DJ demos. The only time NM spoke during this time, it was to sing, badly, to the song, or to tell me how much he adored his musical taste. With an hour left of the trip, I switched the music off and asked NM what he had been getting up to / if he had courted any maidens. This was just based on my general curiosity of his love life. He has previously made up having girlfriends and I wanted to see what he came up with this time. He was extremely hesitant to answer. He claimed he was interested in this one girl, but didn't know how she felt about him. I was surprised. I mean, after listening to his CD I figured he was either gay, or this maiden was a lobster or an inanimate object, but he reassured me it was indeed a real, living woman. Determined to get him off my back, and obsessed with someone else, I figured that I should give him some tips on how to court the maiden that his cold, fedora-wearing heart lusted after. He said the girl he was interested in was 20, she had short hair, was studying to be a teacher, and the list went on and on of characteristics and traits that resembled me. Me, I don't mean to flatter myself, but are you talking about me? NM, I was hoping you would catch on. Me, you know I'm seeing someone, right? NM, I do. But he isn't right for you. I reckon I could be the best lover you have ever had. Lover shudders. By this point I was getting uncomfortable, as we had another 25 minutes until we reached Sam's house. I remained silent and didn't speak to him because, to be honest, I didn't know what to say. NM, why have you gone all quiet? Me, I guess I just don't have much to say right now. NM, it's because you know I want to be your boyfriend, right? You know I am in love with you, yes? This was when I was starting to feel a little bad, although in my defense he had put me in a difficult / extremely awkward situation. Me, look Mike, I like you just as a friend. No more than that. Sorry dude, I don't mean to sound like a bitch, so don't take it the wrong way. Now it was NM's time to be a silent sack of shit. NM, get out, he said eventually, while still driving. Yes, he literally told me to get out of his car in the middle of nowhere. We were roughly 10 minutes away from Sam's. Me, what the fuck man? We are almost at Sam's. Pull yourself together. NM, I don't think I want to go now. NM pulled over, placed his head in his hands and was looking downright depressed. It took me a good 10 minutes to calm him down and finally get him to complete the drive to Sam's place. The whole 10-minute drive was spent blasting Adele's Someone Like You and some shitty Taylor Swift song that I didn't care for. I thanked NM for the drive, and he responded by telling me he wasn't driving me home. And I want my mix CD back too, by the way. Next up, Sam's house. An awkward, uncomfortable, cringeworthy event. Also, for the shits and gigs I might message Neckbeard Mike and ask him about his thoughts on the following topics. Atheism. Women / how to court a maiden / how many girlfriends he has had in the past. Fedoras / trenchcoats / fashion. Then I shall print screen his reply, and post it here for all those Neckbeard Mike fans out there.
My online encounter with a neckbeard. By Gameraaaa. Back in 2008 when MySpace was still relevant, I was a part of a Batman discussion group. Outside of liking the Spider-Man cartoon when I was younger, I never really cared for anything comic book related, but The Dark Knight had come out and I was a fan of Heath Ledger, so I'd talk about him with others in that group. I added people as friends who I got along with, and I received a friend invite from a guy I hadn't spoken to, but since he was a member of the group I thought nothing of it. I glanced at his profile and saw he was quite overweight, trying to hide his balding with a comb-over, and he had the signature neckbeard. All that was missing was the fedora. He had various photos of his cluttered house where he was showing his various action figure dolls that were never opened from their box, along with comic books and some anime stuff. After I added him as a friend, he PM'd me right away. The conversation went along the lines of, "Thanks for the ad. I see you post in the group all of the time. I'm mostly a lurker there. I was browsing your profile and saw that you are 18 years old. What's a young girl like you doing on a Batman forum? I figured girls wouldn't like that kind of stuff, mostly for dorks like me. Tongue. Me, LOL. The truth is I'm not really into comic book movies that much, but I really liked Heath Ledger, so that's why I'm interested in the movie. Are that figures? Ladies love the handsome guys. Smile. I know I don't look like much, but all the same I'm a friendly guy. I've got a huge collection of action figures and limited edition items, but I'm missing one thing. You are very beautiful, and it would be an honor to have you as my most prized collection." Least to say, I deleted him off of my friends category after that, and he commented asking why I did that. I told him that he was making me nervous and he said, "Well, you didn't have to delete me as a friend." Luckily he never bothered me again, and I checked his profile one last time and saw that he was 34 years old.
A neckbeard tries to woo a lady in all the wrong ways. The Second Coming of Krabs by I_AMA_spaz. Fucking shit, you guys, he's back. This story happened last Friday, and it's looking like Krabs is up to his old tricks again, but I will not put up with this shit again. I have learned, I have become hardened, I have an entire subreddit as my strategy team. It's time to go to war. The cast. Me, we will continue calling me Spaz. I'm now 16. I'm short, stout, and a geeky hipster. My hobbies are what make me neckbait. I'm absolutely in love with Fire Emblem, Fallout, and to a lesser extent Battlefield. It will become relevant to this story to note that I am half Afghan through my mom, but my complexion is fairly light, so I just look like a fairly tan white girl. I am a semi-practicing Muslim. I believe in God, but no burqas or 5 prayers a day. Also, as you might have noticed from my previous stories, I don't really consider alcohol haram. I occasionally wear a headscarf, but that's just because I think they're kinda pretty. Ephraim, my boyfriend, 6 foot something, 200 pounds of muscle, and fortunately, also a geeky hipster just like me. We were actually sort of brought together by Krabs. Despite this, Krabs is his mortal nemesis. He's amazing and I couldn't ask for a better boyfriend. He's got dark hair and dark eyes, and a goofy grin permanently stuck on his face, which perfectly matches his perfect jawline. I guess my description probably is a bit biased, but it's my story so I'll say what I want. Erica, Ephraim's twin sister, my best friend. She's got roughly the same build as Ephraim, except she's obviously lighter. She shares in my geeky interests, in addition to being our school's star basketball player. She's got a heart of gold, but she also has a competitive/aggressive streak which makes her pretty intimidating. She will go mama bear if anybody tries to hurt me ever since the Krabs incidents. Seth, Erica's boyfriend, I didn't give a great description of him during the prom incident, so here it is. He's about 5 feet 11 inches and fairly slim, but he carries himself in a very confident way. He has fair hair and skin, as well as a sharp jawline. He's our school's top soccer player. He is also really chill and treats Erica like a goddess, so I approve of him. Raina, prom queen from last year. She's incredibly ditzy. She recently forgot to wear shoes to school. She didn't choose not to wear them. No, she walked out of her house and into her car barefoot, drove to school barefoot and walked into first hour barefoot before saying "Oh dang, I forgot my shoes." She's also so beautiful it makes me angry. She is the literal definition of conventionally beautiful. She is also one of my good friends ever since the prom incident. Despite her apparent stupidity, she's incredibly perceptive when it comes to people and how they are feeling and such, and she is insanely charismatic. Krabs, a fucking twat. Neckbeard extraordinaire. He is named Krabs because he looks startlingly similar to Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, right down to the skin tone. He is always fucking sweating. So Act 1 of this story takes place during a debate/current events class. We were talking about the current situation in the Middle East and I was up at the podium debating another kid about whether or not the US should deploy ground troops to fight IS. Now bear in mind that we are not allowed to pick our topic or the side of the debate we are arguing for, so I was told I had to support the deployment of US ground troops. I was debating Reina and things were going my way. Anyways, I'm up at the podium talking and who walks into the class? If you guessed Krabs, you win the No Shit Sherlock Award. For some reason or another Krabs had to make up a period for this class and he had a study hall the hour I had it, so yay. Krabs sits down and smirks at me. I decided to ignore him. At some point in the debate it becomes important for me to mention my Afghan heritage, and that I'm sort of Muslim. Krabs looks to be on the verge of a meltdown. How can milady be a raghead and a fundy? He was visibly upset, which I found to be hilarious. Then he raised his hand. The teacher called on him and he asked his question. Spaz, how can you be an Arab? I thought Arab women were submissive to alpha males? Oh fuck no. No. Well, first of all, I'm not an Arab. Arabs are people from the Arabian Peninsula. I'm mostly American, but my mom was born in Afghanistan, which makes me part Afghanistani. Secondly, women of the Middle East are not submissive by choice, they are forced to be under the threat of death, which is why American troops would be a good stabilizing force in the ME, especially against extreme fundamentalists like IS. It is possible that with proper US intervention that region could become more progressive. Keep in mind I was still debating at this point and I wanted to show Krabs that I wasn't rattled by his question by sticking to the debate instead of breaking down. I also don't necessarily support those opinions. Krabs just sort of gave a snort and I ended up winning the debate, but that wasn't to be the end of it. Oh no. Krabs was contacting me with every form of social media, ranging from pathetic attempts to make me fall in love with him, to complaints about my religion, to outright racism. I decided to ignore the messages. Later that night I was with Ephraim, Erica, Seth, and Reina when I told them all about the messages. The Wonder Twins started getting really worked up and threw around words like murder and pummel and annihilate and flay. I told them we would take care of this, but preferably without violence. Literally moments after this everybody in the room gets messages from Krabs, including Seth and Reina. Ephraim said Spaz confessed her love to me and wants me to say that she's breaking up with you. Ha 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 ha. The delusion is strong with this one. Everybody else's said something like Spaz isn't allowed to spend time with you anymore. And mine said, Ephraim is cheating on you with Reina. This crazy fool actually thought this would work. I got 20 or 30 texts from other people asking what the fuck the message from Krabs was about. For the record, over half of those people I've only talked to maybe 3 times in total. So the Neckbeard returns with a power play, which fails miserably, and I'm looking to end this before it starts again. P.S. Just to spite Krabs, me and Ephraim decided to have breakup sex, and then as soon as he was ready, make up sex, so fuck you Krabs.
Gruntbeard, or why you should know roommates better before choosing them by deleted. This one is rather long and pretty much a collection of small events in my time with Gruntbeard. This is my latest Neckbeard encounter, and rather long as I've known him about 3 years now, and I have plenty more if there is interest in hearing them. Now to get to the story. I think it's best to describe Gruntbeard, GB. He will be called this for how often he would make grunting noises while in his chair or laying in bed during our time as roommates. Short with a beer gut and lots of body hair. His haircut was long when we first met. Then he got it cut and it looked like, as my partner would say, the kid from The Shining's haircut. Then he got it cut again to be a fade, or I guess your typical frat boy hair, however it always looked like greasy short hair. He had a legit neckbeard for a long time but switched it out for a really gross attempt at a dad goatee with a longer bottom. Essentially it looked like he was trying to be the lead vocalist for the band System of a Down in the facial hair department. He was really into metalcore and deathcore but fancied himself a metal elitist that would always try and argue what genre certain bands are. Claimed to despise pop music despite going to parties and clubs often. Played guitar and was rather bad at it. Always wore the same 2 or 3 shirts no matter where he was going. Took the longest shits ever, and smelled like he never wiped after coming out. Extremely self-centered. Always complained about being 23 and a virgin, or how he never had a girlfriend. Studied music composition at my university. I met GB because I often wear band shirts around in public. He noticed this and happened to like a band I was wearing on my shirt. Sensing another person that listens to metal, he decides to sit near me in the university's dining hall. We talked a little bit about bands and he was into some stuff I considered really bad but also liked some good and decent bands, so I decided he would be a fine person to talk to from time to time. As we talked more and more, I found out weird things about him. Every time he talked about music he had to act like he had the best taste ever and would go out of his way to bash artists that other people liked. He reminded me of myself in middle school in that he really despised pop music and would complain about it. I tried keeping conversations to the topic of metal bands we had in common because that was an easy talking point. Every time a concert came up I would ask if he was planning to go, and his response was always that he wanted to go to some frat party or this same restaurant if it happened on a Thursday. He is really socially awkward and I never expected him to be the type to go to those types of parties. I mean, I avoid them myself. When we talked about it more, he would talk about how he wants to party with young people forever and to be that cool older guy at parties, even though he clearly was not that type of person, but we'll get to that. After a while I got really sick of how he had an elitist attitude with music and tried to even act like it made him tough sometimes, so I didn't talk to him for a few months. Then I had a falling out with some really toxic people that were my friends and ended up talking to him more out of desperation and loneliness. This was around the time the app Yik Yak was on its last legs. GB was obsessed with Yik Yak since I knew him and would often just zone out and read the app while I talked to him. I decided that it would be fun to try out the app, so I asked him about it and his first response was, "Whatever you hear about me on there, it's not true. I made a mistake once but that's it." At the time I was more naive, and having been bullied growing up my empathy kicked in and I told him that I won't listen to what others say on there. I even went so far to stand up for him on there. This was way before I realized the really bad. The first thing I realized that put me off was how much he complained about vegans and how they were coming to take away his meat rights. I eventually added him on Snapchat and saw him post on his story about once every few weeks something along the lines of, "I wonder how many vegans are triggered by my bacon." This was really annoying, but I decided to ignore it for the time being. At this point I added him on Snapchat, which meant I finally knew how he acted at parties. Every goddamn weekend he would fill his story with videos of the camera up close to his face and him yelling along to songs or trying, and failing, to do death metal versions of them really loud at the parties. He would also chug beer in these videos, and the more I knew him the weirder they got. He started trying to make sexy faces in them or do things like eat a lime really aggressively at a bar. Also, on a side note, he failed composition 113 times. I later found out this was because he is so lazy that he never does anything in his classes until maybe last minute. He had a digital music course and bragged about how one of his projects was to make a noise track. He said his was really cool, and being a fan of noise I checked it out. It was the laziest, worst attempt at noise I had ever heard. He would often carry this pretentiousness about his music. On the topic of his music, he had a very specific idea for a band, and he thought it was so unique, mixing 90s screamo and emo music with death metal, that he bragged about it all the time. I told him that if he wants to join a band and is talented enough, he can just join one of the many bands in our local metal scene, but no, it had to be started by him and it had to be his exact vision. He was really whiny about this, and it got pretty unbearable every time I heard him complain that he wasn't in a band yet. I eventually got a bass for a short time and wanted to see what would happen if I had a jam session with him, since he was the only person I knew who played guitar in my immediate area. This was a huge mistake because he just belittled me for being a beginner and proceeded to just play songs he wrote on guitar the whole time I was there. It was terrible. One time I took him to a local hardcore concert. On the way there he talked about how he wants to beat up crowd killers in pits and stuff. Of course a tiny push pit opens up somewhat close to him and he freaks out, going to the wall and screaming. At this same concert one of my friends wanted to hang out afterwards and I had to take GB to his place with me since GB didn't have a way to get back. While there GB wouldn't stop interrupting us when we talked about music and really made me embarrassed to be around him. I think to this day GB is the reason that friend doesn't talk to me much anymore. Eventually I started to meet some other people he hung out with, and one of them, who I will call Red Stash, RS, was just too creepy. He partied with GB and gave me real rapist vibes, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if this dude roofied girls at parties or something. One time he randomly thought it was appropriate to ask me if me and my partner of 3 years at the time, still with her, going on 5 years, have had sex yet. I told him that is none of his business and that I don't even care enough about sex to talk about it with him. So despite all these warning signs I decided to get a dorm room with him for my 3rd year of university. This was because I was fed up with every other roommate I had and wanted someone who just kept to themselves and didn't care, which he did for the most part. Once I lived with him though, the worst of it came out. The first thing I remember setting me off after moving in was when the girls next door came over to hang out with the 3rd and 4th roommates. I had got home from work late that night and went to the fridge to get a soda or beer, I can't remember, and ended up sitting at the couch since everyone was in the living room and the conversation sounded interesting. GB was in a chair and looking at his phone almost the entire time, but he chimed in at points. My one roommate was talking about how had backstage access at a Cavs game once and saw the Kardashians there. GB interrupted and went on about how if he saw them he would yell at them and call them cunts, and sluts and bitches because they deserve it. This did not sit well with me, but I didn't want any more roommate conflict than I had in the past, so I didn't say anything. The conversation went on and one of the neighbors told a story about how she was almost raped. GB had a look of sadness about him after she finished and he said this, as a guy that wants to have sex with a girl one day, that story bothers me. Way to move the conversation to yourself, creep. He went on and talked about sex, saying things like, I just want to get it off my mind and my first time won't be short, I know it. At this point I realized the reason he went to parties and clubs was to try and get a girl to sleep with him. He had to say though that he had high standards, wanting a skinny girl with a doll face that was shorter than him. Of course. The first semester I lived with GB I was back to a job working nights. As a result I would often take naps or sleep in. This was always ruined though by him either playing Snapchat stories on repeat at 100% volume, playing some skate app on his phone, making mouth noises to music, playing shitty music on a speaker when he had headphones, or playing guitar. Mind you, we shared a bedroom and he could see me get in bed and lay down. After the 10th time of me telling him to stop, he responded with, sorry, I'm just so used to being alone. He never stopped with this, he just kept doing it until I decided to stop taking naps when he was in the room. At this point I was getting fed up with GB and didn't talk to him anymore. I just wanted to distance myself from the guy. Around this time his Snapchat stories got weirder and more aggressive, as I mentioned before. I also had a hard time sleeping because how much he moaned and grunted when he was in bed at night. One time my partner and I woke up at 5 a.m. to hear what sounded like him jerking off in bed. He also had an alarm set to really early in the morning on weekdays that he never woke up for, and of course it was always set for an hour after I got off work, so I barely slept. One night he came home from a party all sweaty and greasy and said to me, whatever you hear, I didn't do anything. Anything? Well, you must have done something to warrant saying that, was my response. He said some girls said I was touching them at this party and got me kicked out, so I punched myself in the head and got let back in, but if you hear anything, I didn't do it. I was disgusted and told him that he shouldn't be going to parties anymore if he is going to do that. It was at this point I waited for the day he would get beat up, but it never came. After this there were a few moments he would try talking to me, but I always kept the conversation brief to avoid associating with him. One time he said he was glad the Bandai section was off the hook for rape charges. He would never talk when my partner was in the room, probably because the one time he did she just shut down his argument and presumably made him feel really dumb. Everything really just waned down and it was more of seeing his Snapchats and the rare small talk. I refused to associate with him and I think he realized that, even though it made being in the room tense. Also, for some reason he could not plunge a toilet to save his life. The last thing he ever did was after I moved out of the dorms. The third roommate in our dorm left a bunch of food in the freezer and said I could have it. Since I was already downtown that day, I asked GB to bring it out of the room for me. He comes down with a garbage bag full of the food. Even worse, he was dumb enough not to check and see if it was stuff worth keeping or not, as there was a half-eaten ice cream tub in there. That's all for now. Might come back and edit if I think of anything I left out. Sorry it's long and a lot of short events, but I felt it was still worth sharing. Stay tuned to hear about the other neckbeards I knew. Edit 1. So my partner reminded me of another thing he did. Whenever she was over, he would stand in behind us at times and listen in on our conversations. I recall him butting in a few times from behind us, especially if I said something metal related. Edit 2. Of course I forgot a couple more things. He would use Tinder for brief amounts of time and always made a Snapchat story. He had an iPod Touch and an iPhone. They were used for separate apps, of himself swiping left a bunch on Tinder with the caption "Good luck girls." He had a Snapchat story named GB's World and thought that made him some sort of celebrity. He got outrageously mad when he lost it the first time. It also got him in trouble when he put videos of him smoking weed, which always looked like the most pathetic hit I've ever seen, but they made him cough on it. He was into skating and said any people that wear Thrasher shirts aren't real skaters and are posers. He would get irrationally angry when the dorm Wi-Fi was slow and always screamed "Oh my god" or "Come on" if he had to wait more than 2 seconds. This also kept me awake during naps. He once said, "I want to lose weight but I'm a binge drinker and I love Mountain Dew too much." He used a video chat app called Monkey for a bit on his phone. Here are a few things I overheard him say when he used it. GB, hey what's up? No response for 2 seconds, girl is probably busy. GB, hey bitch what's up? Still no response for 2 seconds. GB, hey you fucking cunt I said what's up? Ends. GB, shitty music. Pause of person responding or not responding, not sure. GB, I said, shitty music. Ends. GB, oh those are nice. Pause. GB, show more. Pause. GB, I said show more. Pause. GB, fuck you cunt. End. GB, get off here, you're 14. You're too young to be here. Pause. GB, fuck you too you little cunt. This one happened at least 5 times. GB, I'm 23 and a virgin. Pause if it doesn't end. GB, I said I'm a virgin. Happened 10 times, it became his icebreaker. I think that's all for now. Thanks for letting me vent all this out. I'm so glad to have this shitty toxic person out of my life. Edit 3, this is the last thing I will add. He randomly came up to me one day and bragged how he was going to inherit 3 cabins and a bunch of guns and swords from his uncle in Missouri who was a flint trapper. I was doing homework at the time so I had no clue why he felt this was important to tell me about. Edit 4, I lied. I remembered more. He went to a party and bragged about co-blocking some guys by making the girls they were talking to laugh. When this happened he got a message saying it would be funny to go up to the girls' dorm. He went up there, probably thinking he would get laid, and the 2 guys were there and almost kicked his ass. He claimed he could take one, but this short fuck was usually out of breath from walking home. He would make Snapchat stories that he shaved his neckbeard, but it was always still a neckbeard of course. One time I met his fraternal twin brother. He seems just as bad. He thinks he's super cool and is completely oblivious to everything. They were both in my dorm's living room staring at their phones and this guy was just standing in front of my fridge. I had to ask to get to my fridge and he just moves away at a snail's pace still absorbed in his phone.
NarutoBeard. By Mouse3_. In high school there was this dude. NarutoBeard / because all he ever watched or talked about was Naruto. Obsessively so. This particular event I'll describe was when NB decided to raise a fist to my GF, we'll call her T / at the time and threatened to hit her. He was about 5 feet 10 inches and easily 280 pounds while she was maybe 4 feet 11 inches and 100 pounds soaking wet. So, one day at lunch my group, yes my group, IDQI people used to just gravitate towards me I guess / is sitting up by the 3D / art room talking about whatever we did back then. NB shows up and waddles over with what looked his sister and interrupts our discussion to announce that he has a better GF than anyone here because she blows him regularly. Keep in mind, she was standing there right next to him, and seemed entirely okay with him putting their business out there. We all say WE that's nice ect. Now fuck off, and he flips out. Starts saying he knows jitsu and ninjutsu and all sorts of other shit and he's gonna kick our asses if we don't accept his GF is better than ours, at which point I stand up and tell him to leave, and that I won't say it again. I was shorter than him at the time, but was known for having a hair trigger temper. So he mumbles something under his breath and grabs his GF by the arm before sitting down maybe 10 feet from our group, staring holes into all us for a few minutes before giving up when he realizes we're not paying attention to him. And here is when the dicker begins. Me and T broke off from the group to talk about something personal. I think it was date plans or something. My back was to the group and NB while T was facing them. Mid-sentence she flips her shit, and announces to everyone in the area, "Oh my god, are you finger banging her in front of everyone, WTF?" So we all turn, and lo and behold /NB was playing DJ Diddles with his GF. He was sitting against the wall with her back against his belly, with a hoodie over her lap, and you can see his hand doing things underneath. Looked like a damned jackhammer on roids. He panics, pushes his GF over, not caring that her pants were unbuttoned, unzipped, and slightly pulled down, sending her rolling a few feet away as he leaps to his meaty feet. NB starts screaming at T, calling her all sorts of inappropriate names before saying if he wanted to he could hold her down and face fuck her because she's such an easy slut and she'd beg him for more. This is where I start to get angry. So now T and NB are having a shouting match across the group at each other, and I'm having to hold T back because though she's small, I've seen her take down people twice her size. She didn't fight fair by any means, but she fought. NB decides to try and throw me out of his way and against a wall and raises his fist to her, daring her to say one more word. I literally bounced off that wall. I didn't feel it because I couldn't believe that Tubby Bubby would put his hands on me, but he did. I get to my feet, dust myself off, and go apeshit. I jump on his back like a spider monkey /no joke. Start punching him in the ears and put him in a headlock, which was a bad idea because he just slammed me into the wall again. It hurt. I let go, kinda fuzzy because my head knocked off the glass, and he backpedals and throws a paper ninja star at me, nailing me right in my eye before running off with his hands behind his back just like Naruto. I chase him down. Wasn't hard. For a big guy he could move pretty quick, but I was faster. Caught him, but a lunch duty /knock whatever you call them broke us up. NB starts crying, saying I attacked him for no reason and sexually assaulted his GF. At which point I thought I was going to be in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, after going to the office and having the school sheriff stand behind me for what seemed like forever while NB sat in the chair next to me sneering the whole time, the principal informs us that cameras had recently been installed on the school grounds. It was all on tape. Everything. From the finger blasting, to the headshot with a paper ninja star. That part the principal started laughing his ass off. He thought it was hilarious that this kid had superb aim and nailed me in the eye before running away. He got expelled, I got suspended for mutual combat, and for the rest of my high school years I got a new nickname /Batchy the Pirate because afterwards I had to wear an eye patch for a week and limped for a few days, fell when I caught NB and smashed my shin on a metal bench /. TLDR, NarutoBeard tried to say his GF was better than all of ours in high school, proceeded to finger blast her in front of our group, tried to fight my GF for calling him on it, nailed me in the eye with a paper ninja star after I went after him for threatening to hit my GF before running off and trying to lie his ass out of it when it was on tape. Fun times.
Busbeard Returns by puppinluv. Good afternoon, my ladies and gents. I'm here to bring you the second piece in the drama of Busbeard, champion of the underdog and beta males, or is it beta males?
P. everywhere.
This story details his ongoing quest to make me see reason. I see him often since we both take the bus around the same time, and ever since our first encounter he's made it his goal to help me. Now let me set the stage for y'all. The cast this time round is Busbeard, overweight man on a mission, Lady A tired and overworked college student, as well as your lovely author, Muscles, a hunk of a man with biceps to dream about, and Beanie, stereotypical frat boy who's done with shit. TM. Aight, let the fun begin. It was noonish and I had already finished school for the day. Yay for morning classes, note the sarcasm. I was heading to North Campus in order to eat lunch at the one good pizza joint town. I was a little dressed up since I had done a presentation in one of my classes and was feeling pretty good about the day. Of course, this is when Murphy's Law kicked in and left me blindsided. There I was, peppy, jamming out to sweet tunes with my headphones, and doodling in a notebook as I rode the bus. It had been a couple days since my encounter with Busbeard and I had firmly put the whole ordeal out of my mind. I thought I'd never see the creep again. Oh, how very wrong I was. Then suddenly, as if summoned by Doritos and Mountain Dew itself, a shadow fell over me. Of course, the buses around this time get pretty packed and a lot of people stand in the aisles, so I thought nothing of it. Something tapped my shoulder then in short jabbing motions. I turn, expecting someone to ask if I could move over or the like, and I see him. There in all his unwashed and obese glory is Busbeard. "Ooh, I see you're back." His nasally voice spat. Oh Lord, I felt my stomach drop out from beneath me. I still had my headphones in and, using them as an excuse, hastily pretended I had just turned to reposition my bag, ignoring him. "Ooh I said, I see you've returned." He was louder this time, no getting out. I tugged off my headphones and once more turned to him. "Ooh, what? I'm eloquent and witty, I know." I said, "I saw that you've returned, like I said." Yes, he actually used said twice in one sentence, and yes, it hurt to hear. "You've, okay?" I really didn't want to be there and I wasn't sure how to handle him. "Has your BF left you yet?" Again, he actually used BF, not the word boyfriend. No. 'Cause I never had one in the first place. I think I mentioned that before? How else could I respond to his special brand of crazy? "So he did dump you?" I knew he would. "You don't have to lie about it, you're only hurting yourself." This was his smug reply. I just sat there for a moment, unsure and a little shocked. Was everything I said a lie to this guy? Dude, believe what you want. I have no reason to make up not dating a guy. Short and sweet, a perfect response, I was sure. PFFFT, drop the pretense. I'd treat you right, you know, I have manners. Okay, once more he was warping the conversation to his attraction. Karma to me. I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm okay. Brilliant response, managed to come off political but still shut him down. Nonsense, I can tell you're raking for a man in your life. I do have a sociology degree, you know. Oh God, he was bringing up his degree again to explain my own behavior to me. Classy. Aching for a man in my life. As I responded, I wondered if the creep was on drugs or something, because really, who talked like this? Ooh no. I'm not looking for a relationship right now, sorry. Come on, at least tell me your name, milady. And there it was, he pulled out the big guns and in true Neckbeard form used the dreaded milady. Look, my name is Lady A and you're really making me uncomfortable. Now that I've answered your question, could you leave me alone? I had finally done it. I had asked him to F off, politely of course. My mama made sure her kids would never be anything but well-mannered, and I fear that woman more than God himself. Call it a healthy concern for my own well-being. Using reverse logic, nice try. I know you want me. He was getting aggravated, gut heaving like Verkasalt turned into a blueberry. I was pretty sure his shirt was going to rip from all the movement. His face was getting sweaty, hair falling out of its band, and face mimicking Uncle Vernon pissed at poor little Harry Potter. In fact, I felt like old Scarhead. I was confused, yelled at, and pretty sure I should be offended. But before I could respond, a new voice chimed in. Dude, you sound like a creep. Could you just, lay off or something? Enter Muscles and his lovely biceps. Are you her new BF? Busbeard's habit of using BF instead of actually sounding out the word was going to make me snap, I just knew it. Nah, but I can tell she's not wanting that position filled by you. At this, Muscles obviously looked Busbeard up and down, face showing how much he found our fine fedora lacking. I felt like my hero had come, my deliciously ripped and hunky knight in shining gym wear. So bulging in mass and lovely firmness I had to check my chin for drool. But I digress. He had muscled, pun intended, his way down the aisle to reach Busbeard and I. His intent to help was very much appreciated. Your name is Lady A, right? I'm Muscles. He turned that dazzling smile of his at me, and I felt like I just had a religious experience. Maybe God hadn't abandoned his creations. Ooh, yeah. I'm Lady A, nice to meet you. Jesus, I'm terrible at talking to people, I should just join an onion and take a vow of silence. I can't believe you're talking to this Chad TM, you can do better, Lady A. Oh Busbeard, why must you interrupt what may be the start of my life with Muscles? I just said hi. I justified myself. Why was I justifying myself too, Busbeard? Go away, you Chad TM, I called dibs on Lady A here. Busbeard was defiantly mad now. Bro, did you just call dibs on a person? Kinda middle school of you, don't you think? And here entered Beanie, his slight form had been hidden behind Muscles. As a man you should respect my claim on Lady A. If you don't, you lack chivalry. Dear God, Busbeard puffed up his chest at this proclamation. Look, I am not some toy you can call dibs on. He's right. And I already asked you to leave me alone, man. Nice, a full sentence from me. Look, dude, just leave her alone, okay? I won't let you harass her, Muscles said. As if. You just want a milky and voluptuous chest for yourself. This was a shout. Busbeard just shouted about my breasts on a crowded bus. People were openly staring at this point. I wanted to sink into the ground. This situation was just terrible and embarrassing. Bro, no. Muscles here ain't a creep like you. Besides, lady bits don't work on him, he's immune to their power. You though, I'm feeling rapey vibes from you. Thank you, Beanie, your sharp wit is much needed. I don't think you know who I am. I'm Busbeard and I'm getting a sociology degree. I think I know more than you. Besides, I saw her first. I couldn't believe Busbeard just tried to use the old I saw it first rule on me. Ew, dude, back up. You are so out of bounds. And there was Muscles, crossing his arms and flexing a little. You just want to use her loosely and fill her with your steroid-stuffed C. This was Busbeard's insightful response. The group of bystanders who had accumulated at this point gaped at him. I recoiled in shock and disgust. Beanie just looked numb. And Muscles? His face of disgust and disbelief was a work of art. Bro, I literally just said Muscles here is immune. You are seriously gross. This is a public place, man. Have some respect. Besides, my homeboy here wants nothing to do with Lady A's bits and pieces, more fond of the lads. You feel me? Beanie patted Muscles' arm, who looked amused by Beanie's outburst. Wait. Was Muscles gay? No. My dreams of licking his abs was destroyed. I was too squishy for his needs. I mourned our hypothetical future before moving on. I was much more suited to crazy cat lady status anyway. Just go away, Lady A and I are talking. Busbeard could just not get a clue. Look, dude, leave me alone. Beanie and Muscles are right, you're childish and I don't want to date you. Also please don't talk about my body again. At this I leaned away from Busbeard, letting Muscles move between us. Lady A, wait. Busbeard tried to shout but it was too late. Pointing at the upcoming stop and nodding, I let Beanie and Muscles know I was getting off. They quickly created a barrier using their bodies, mostly Muscles, but A, who's counting, while I escaped. I dashed out of the bus before heading towards the restaurant, turning to wave at Muscles and Beanie as the bus pulled away. And in the window was Mushta furious, yelling, Busbeard. Thanks for reading, guys. Let me know if you like it and want to hear more.
The second encounter with Adrius the Neckbeard, or the requirements to be a real man. By only_for_the_cats. Hello again. I have another story about Adrius for you, so grab your fattest pigeon and pour yourself some plinka, because it's time to start. If you didn't read the first encounter, but you are interested, you can find it here. The cast. Me, only underscore for underscore the underscore cats, 17M, your average Hungarian midget. I'm a 169 centimeters, 56, short guy with glasses and shit, and I'm definitely not 100 kilograms, 220 pounds. Please write this down because it will be important later. EO, 17F, a cute, small, around 157 centimeters or 52, girl with short red hair and big green eyes who likes anime, fantasy, and kind of into cosplay. I guess you can call her Beard Babe. Victra, 19F, EO's best friend, a die-hard anime fan. She is very short-tempered and likes to yell Japanese words like baka sometimes, but other than that she is cool. Adrius, 25M, Victra's older brother, a true neckbeard. He is a tall and obese guy, with a well-maintained beer belly, greasy long hair and a double chin, which he hides behind a neckbeard. Severo, 17M, our friend, who kinda looks like a neckbeard without the beard and the fucked up attitude. He is chubby at least, and he likes cargo pants and band shirts, but his heart is pure gold. Pax, 19M, another friend. He is big and bulky, looks like somebody who eats pears for breakfast. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, but a really talented blacksmith. So this story takes place maybe a month after the first one. Yo and I were officially dating back then. We even changed our Facebook status so everybody could tell, this is serious. We were hanging out in a coffee shop in the downtown with Victra, Severo, and Pax. Just a casual Saturday afternoon, talking about anime, games, and life in general. Victra told us about her failed driving test. It's really tough to pass this test in Hungary as most of the examiners are corrupt, so you either bribe them or you have to drive absolutely flawless. Then we talked a little bit about universities and which one should we apply to, so nothing serious, just some chat. And then Adrius arrived. We didn't saw him at first, but we could smell him right as he entered the shop. His BO was even worse than the last time, it really hit you in the face. He stood by the door for a couple of seconds, just like he was looking for someone, then he saw us and came right to our table and sat down with a big creepy smile on his face. "Hi, guys," he said. "It's nice to meet you again. I was running some of my errands in the neighborhood and I wanted to take a little break and drink a coffee. What a coincidence that you are here too." Yeah, it was a really big coincidence, especially if you consider that he and Victor lived on the other side of Budapest, maybe like 1 hour away from downtown. First we didn't know how he found us. Hey, maybe it was really a coincidence, but we didn't believe in it. Since what are the odds that he just randomly comes into the coffee shop we're in? But later we realized Victra uploaded a picture of us to Facebook an hour and a half before Adrius showed up. So probably he saw the photo and decided to track us down, maybe to have a second shot with m'lady. He sat down at our table, ordered some hot chocolate and fell completely silent. After a while we continued our conversation about anything that came into our mind, while he was just sitting silently, eyeing Eo the way a hungry dog looks at his bone. It took him like half an hour, but apparently, he built up the courage to talk to m'lady again. "So, Eo, you want to drink anything?" he asked during the middle of the conversation. "You can even have a beer, I will buy it for you." "Sorry, no," Eo answered without hesitation. "And please don't ask me questions like this in the future. I already have a boyfriend, I don't need a second one." Most people would notice this not so subtle hint, but no, Adrius. This guy just didn't know when to quit. "He doesn't look like a real man to me," he said after some thinking. "Excuse me, what did you just say?" "Now, I'm usually peaceful, except while riding a bus, but come on, Hungarian public transport is literally the wild fucking west. You can't show mercy if you want to survive the day, but this guy started to get on my nerves really bad. You know the saying, to be a real man, you have to weigh at least 100 kilograms, 220 pounds. Under that you are just Christmas tree decoration. I'm 137 kilograms, 302 pounds, just so you know. He said this like it's some kind of achievement one should be proud of. Now the funny thing is, in Hungary we really have this saying, but usually we use it as a self-dissing joke and not as a weak-ass insult attempt. Everybody was speechless after this. We don't know how to react to what we just heard. Pax was the first who started laughing. He laughed like he just heard the best joke in the world. He couldn't even speak for a solid 2 minutes. That's not how it works, Adrius, he said after he caught his breath. You can only say this if you are muscular. Then it's a fair point. But you are just fat. That was the point. We all started laughing except Adrius, of course. He just sat there completely destroyed, his face turned into red. For after a minute he mumbled something about a business he has to take care of and he stormed out of the coffee shop without even paying for his hot chocolate. Moral of the story? If you want to be a real man, better start eating junk food right now. TL, Dr. Neckbeard tracks us down on Facebook, just to show up and don't talk to us. After a while he tries to get into my girlfriend's pants, so he tells her he is fatter than me but fails with this tactic.
The Neckbeard Who Takes Philosophy by Skiumbra. So last year, I failed one of my philosophy classes and have to take it again. A few rows behind me sits the largest, greasiest person I have ever seen. He is so big he needs crutches to help him support his weight as he walks. Before class he was talking about some anime or other. Thinking it might be pretty good, I googled it. It was hentai. Hardcore, rape fantasy hentai. This class is a logic and critical thinking class, and if someone comes up with a premises he doesn't like, or is wrong in a technical sense, like some person said cytoplasm instead of chlorophyll, no one in this class takes biology, and our country has a shit education system, he will mock them and shout false. I have been in different classes for 4 hours, so I grabbed something on the way here to eat in class, since I was starting to feel faint. As I was eating he yelled at the top of his voice, "Somebody's hungry." I'm not the smallest person, and I have incredibly low self-esteem because of it. I am working on my weight, and so far getting good results. But when he said that, it was a really shitty thing to hear. He seems to be leaning into the girl next to him. I don't know if it's because he's into her, or because he's too fat to fit into the seat, but she seems really uncomfortable. I don't know if this belongs here, but holy fuck, he's an asshole.
Zitbeard Gets Rejected. By Kahluka. This is the story of my now ex-coworker, the most spoiled, annoying, and whiny person I've ever met. I'll call him Zitbeard, in honor of the literal beard of pimples he sports instead of the typical scraggly neck beard. Let me tell you about Zitbeard first. He got a job at a factory because of his parents. They know the owners and convinced them to give him a job. Before this, he worked 3 hours a day twice a week at a flower shop, which was apparently so hard. He barely does anything at the factory, and that still warrants tons of complaints about how tired and sore he is. He lives at home, pays rent, he gives his dad $100 a month, and his dad puts that money in Zitbeard's locked-up savings account. His parents also buy his groceries, pay his car insurance and phone bill. Apparently, Zitbeard can't afford these expenses, but that's simply because he's too busy importing amiibo and super hot anime chick figurines. He's never had a girlfriend, let alone even held a girl's hand or asked her out. So, Zitbeard has a crush on a beautiful girl at work, Pazal. She's tall, tan and absolutely stunning. She leads an active lifestyle, goes to music festivals all summer and generally lives life to the fullest. Zitbeard won't even meet new people, claiming anxiety, Asperger's, and for some reason his ADHD prevents him from meeting new people. Still, Zitbeard yearned for her. He'd text me constantly, saying they talk all the time. They stayed up so late texting last night. Surely she likes him. She also likes Nintendo and old school Mario Party. Never mind that Pazal could be a model, and Zitbeard could be mistaken for a mentally challenged horse. Seriously, if we are allowed to post pictures, I will add this guy. He is the most nerdy looking person I've ever seen. It will only add to the story. He asked me at work one day if he should finally ask her out. I'm a girl, surely I'm a love expert. Deep down inside, I knew she would say no. But, trying to boost Zitbeard's confidence, I said he should. I also wanted to stop hearing him whine about being so lonely and miserable, while never actually leaving the house or trying to meet people. That night, My phone exploded with messages from Zitbeard. Apparently, he had asked Gazelle to talk in private the next day at work. She had asked why, and his answer was, "I wanted to be a gentleman, and ask you to ice cream in person." 1 hour later, he gets his response. "I have a boyfriend." Cute 2 days of no Zitbeard at work, constant, "I'm a nice guy, why would she reject me?" Texts. Facebook posts about nice guys never getting the girl, how stupid it is that he can never have the girl he wants because she's with some meathead. He even went too far as to do Throughiverse, finding posts by other hurt souls who've been rejected. Zitbeard then blamed it on her, saying she was a slut who only wanted to party. She had never mentioned a boyfriend, so surely she was a harlot. This brought forth even more Facebook posts, once about how all women are shameless sluts and that's why he will never find love. Of course, when I simply texted him "milady." When I finally got sick of his shit, that caused even more rage. He hates neckbeards, he isn't one. Sure, Zitbeard. I've got a ton of stories, this guy is a goldmine of privileged cringe. From how all of his friends are freeloading basement dwellers, he is one, yet complains about them, to his hatred of everything ever.
And that's when he burst out bawling, crying, "I just want to stick my penis in you." By Epistatic. I'm at the after-show party at the home of the lead lady of my performing circle. We just aced and nailed a perfect show this evening, and the venue who took the risk and put us on wants us to do more events, possibly monthly or bi-weekly. Spirits are high, so are all us friends, and the night was exciting. But there was this guy. I didn't pay much attention to him, but when I looked he was talking to this girl. And pushing her boundaries, and being an antisocial creep. Throughout their conversation she kept trying to disengage, and he kept not letting her go, even putting an arm around her to pull her back in, being casual and "haha I'm joking no really but the entire time." She told him her age at one point in conversation, something she is sensitive about and that I wouldn't have expected just from knowing her. And he went "wow really haha," and then announced to us her age, despite her visible upset at him teasing he's going to do that. He actually spat out a mouthful of food into his hand to clear his mouth to tell people. She slapped his arm and pushed his food back into his mouth, which everybody noticed and fell over laughing at. And then people went back to watching the movie talking with each other. Next I looked over, he kept trying to kiss her and she kept leaning away. As she did he became fixated on her nose and decided he was going to try shoving his fingers up her nose, again while she's trying to socially and gracefully get away. She had enough of that, and started lightly putting her hand on his face and slapping his face telling him to go away. He opened his mouth and her fingers went in. She was severely grossed out by this, and then he lightheartedly joked "Hey you put your fingers in my mouth now it's my turn" and started trying to shove his fingers into her mouth. She turned to leave and he hugged her from behind and started walking her away into the kitchen, and I saw him grabbing her ass with his other hand. I got up and got in his face, and told him he needed to back off and stop this. She seemed very embarrassed, and said it was no big deal, they were just playing. I think she didn't want to set him off, but she took the opportunity to duck away and prepare to leave. Then he apologized to her, and he was mumbling apologies. And that's when he burst out bawling, sobbing, tears rolling, crying "I just want to stick my penis in you." And there was my night. A grown-ass, late 20s maybe early 30s moderately overweight, but not obese, guy with a beard and long greasy hair and a bowler hat broke down sobbing in front of me and everyone. What could I have done?
Coworker Beard, a story of retribution by deleted. Hi all, first time poster here. I've been pissing myself over this sub for the past few days now, so I felt like I had to contribute. I worked at a retail store at an outdoor outlet mall in a pretty hot state, relevant, from the ages of 17 to 19. This mall was completely dead all the time, and a lot of the time I was the only one manning the store all day, but occasionally on the weekends I would be paired with another employee. Most of these times, I was paired with our not-so-friendly Neckbeard. Characters. Me, 19 at the time of this story, athletic, blonde, tall, confident, stereotypical pretty boy. I straighten my hair when it's humid out, and all-around normal person with good friendships/ability to grow a full beard. Chad, the store manager who is an absolute legend, 50 years old, used to buy me beer when I was underage, father of 2, all-around nice guy and fantastic boss. NB Luke, 32 years old, 5 feet 7 inches, really skinny, like 110 pounds, always wore baggy jeans and graphic t-shirts with trainers, had thinning, greasy hair, no physical neckbeard, but it was definitely there in spirit. A little bit about NB Luke which is relevant. He's insanely fascinated with women as it's all he talks about, and most of the time he's talking about young women. Girls. Like teenagers. One time I brought my girlfriend into the store and I saw him visually undress her. She was 16. Whenever a young, 12-15ish, girl walked by the store, he would never fail to comment on her body. Anyway. It was a Saturday in August I believe, and as I live in a hot southern state, it was excruciatingly hot, outside. So, naturally, the few customers who were braving the heat were scurrying inside the nearest store just for some respite from the sun. Since it was summer, any sane person was dressed in shorts/t-shirt. Not NB Luke. Standing towards the back of the store, he was dressed in dark denim jeans and a long-sleeve wool shirt because, you know, the heat doesn't affect him like it does the sheep of the world. So in walks a couple, both of them in their late 20s, fairly good looking, and the guy was built like a tank build. Like the tank top he was wearing began the day as a regular fitted shirt, but he disintegrated the sleeves with his chest/arm day everyday bro built. They walk past me and I smile and greet them, to which they acknowledge me as a human being and all is good. I'm then distracted by another customer asking a question when I hear NB Luke run over to them and greet them again. Sigh. Now, for those of you who've worked retail before, you'll know the art of multitasking between helping a customer and keeping an eye on the rest of the store. Whenever I was working with the liability that is NB Luke, I had to keep this up. Unsurprisingly, I hear that's extremely inappropriate coming from the back of the store. MFW. The couple storms out of the store without saying anything to me and I finish up with my customer, letting the store fall silent. Since it's just me and NB Luke, I ask him what that was all about and he replies. Just some stupid whore. Okay. Cheers for the explanation. The phone rings. I answer. The woman asks to speak to the manager because she was just sexually harassed in our store. It's the stupid whore. Fuck. Yes. Now, being the 19-year-old dickhead I was, instead of telling her that my manager wasn't in store but I could take a message, I told her I would give her to our assistant manager, non-existent role, which happened to be the only other person working in the store. I listen, into him squirming trying to explain himself, and he basically ended the call with telling her that she's wrong and she should go fuck herself. He was sweating profusely throughout the conversation, but acted all tough guy saying he could beat up her boyfriend if they came back for him. Okay bro. This is where it gets fun. I text my manager, Chad, and explain to him what just happened, which he thinks is the funniest thing ever. He literally gives no shits about his store. Later in the day, Chad texts NB Luke and says he just got a call from corporate about a woman who was sexually harassed in the store by an employee. They're launching an internal investigation and the woman might press charges. At this stage, NB Luke is shitting himself, both internally and externally. He continues to shit himself all week, constantly texting Chad asking for updates about the investigation, to which Chad ignores every single message. This sends him completely overboard. Chad and I laugh about it. The internal investigation wasn't ever a thing. Corporate never knew about the incident. We never actually found out exactly what NB Luke had said to the woman, but it was something regarding her outfit and her choice of short shorts which she found offensive. The woman got a call from Chad who apologized, and all was well in the end. Except for NB Luke. There are plenty of more stories that I can elaborate upon, most of them involving Chad messing with NB Luke.
Death by 1,000 cuts by will_is_okay. I haven't posted here in a while, but the story by /u/lump_hammer reminded me of an incident at a game shop. 2 years ago, I was into a game called Firestorm Armada, which is a tabletop war game, same family of games as WH-40K, where you and an opponent make grand fleets of spacefaring battleships, cruisers, and dreadnoughts blow each other up. I wound up playing against this guy, who one of my regular opponents had recruited. He fit most of the stereotypes: fat, short curly and unkempt hair, frumpy clothes, orange dust at the corner of his lips, abrasive personality with no self-awareness. Well shaven, though. Can't have it all, I guess. Normally I would have politely declined this guy, but I was trying to get a group started so I would play just about anybody interested in the game. While we were setting up, he made a bunch of unprompted and off-color jokes about women, gaming, and sex, which I was not entertained with. I told him as much and he said something about being too sensitive. I let it slide and just changed the subject since I was trying to get new players for this game and not educate nerds on sexism. It was his first game, so I played a very vanilla force with a very simple strategy to let him learn the ropes. I just put my ships in a shield wall formation and didn't advance aggressively, telling him this all the while. When it comes time for him to go, he narrows his eyes and gives a shitty grin, telling me in what I can only guess is an imitation of Inigo Montoya, "You are about to die the death of 1,000 cuts." Lawit. Apparently this death of 1,000 cuts was him spreading his forces as thin as possible and then just piddling away his firepower after I had told him not to do exactly that. It was like trying to knock down a house by throwing pebbles at it after somebody hands you some TNT and a jackhammer. Obviously this failed miserably and he got very upset, loudly complaining about the game being unfair. I tried to give him an easy route for a comeback, but the dice weren't on his side. As the game kept not going his way, he kept raging worse and worse, making these awful half shrieks, half growls and grabbing the sides of the table like he thought he could break. No matter how many times I tried to encourage him to hang in there, he'd just keep raging. It's really the sound he was making, even worse. Eventually I told him, "Okay, you need to chill or I'm packing up and going home." He waved a hand at me and said, "Stop whining and get over it." After that I was about to lose it myself, so I told him I was done and cleaned up my stuff while he pestered me with pleas of "come on. And it's just a game." When I was up front paying for my snacks, I heard him from across the store loudly bragging about how he played so well that he made his opponent forfeit in the third turn. I looked back and saw him sitting at a table cackling with all the other open-to-closers nobody else wants to play. Needless to say, I never played him again.
The Neckbeard and the Older Woman Part 2 by AnorhiDemarche. List of recurring characters. Me, 25 years old. Likes dresses, especially vintage styles dresses, is the perfect woman. In a committed relationship with someone who is not the kid. The kid, our Neckbeard. A proper gentleman. Can't seem to actually grow a bread. Is about 17 to 18 years old. It's lunchtime. I go get food from our mall's food court. I usually eat outside, but oh dear God, that's a lot of rain. I scurry back inside and grab a stool at the eaty bar thing. I nom my tasty lunch. As I nom, people beside me come and go, but no one sits right next to each other because social rules. I suddenly feel someone sit next to me. I look over. Guess who? Have you reconsidered my offer yet? I'm not interested in dating you, kid. Quit calling me kid. I'm almost 18. You're a kid, I'll call you kid. I'd prefer I didn't have to call you anything. Look, you'd best think about going out with me. I'll make a formal complaint about you if you don't. You're seriously going to complain that I won't date you? No, I'll complain that you were disrespectful and threatened me. We have security cameras and mics in the store, and my manager was right there, so that won't work. I may be a gentleman, I snort, but I can be real mean when I don't get my way. At this point, Joe, not real name, the security guard, everyone's friends with Joe in our mall, come up to chat. The kid runs. I tell Joe of my troubles with the kid's attention, including the threats. Joe is not happy. I didn't hear Joe's interaction with the kid, but the kid gets escorted to the security office by 2 guards. Joe tells me that the kid is banned from the mall for a week for harassment of mall employees. They called his mother to pick him up. She was not happy. The bad part, she wants to teach him a lesson. Coming in part 3, the kid volunteers.